Hello Internet, my name is Andrew Eder, and welcome to another episode of Film Editorials. Earlier this year, Jurassic World came out and destroyed all sorts of box office records, which is great, but the topic of today's video is a very different film about dinosaurs. It's Pixar's The Good Dinosaur. The question that kicks everything off in The Good Dinosaur is what would happen if the meteor that killed the dinosaurs 65 million years ago never hit the Earth. From there, it tells the story of Arlo, a young apatosaurus, and his family living in what is presumably the American West, several million years after what would have been a massive extinction event. And the plot concerns Arlo growing up, going on an adventure, trying to find his way back home, and making some unlikely friends along the way. One of the interesting things about this movie, I thought, is that it's a dinosaur western. That was A, unexpected. I didn't know that was going to be a thing when I went into the theater to watch the movie. B, it feels weird to say the words dinosaur western next to each other because those things don't usually go together. But surprisingly, the concept works. I was actually really enjoying the western feel of it and the fact that it's set on like this dinosaur farmstead. Then there's dinosaur cowboys. It works. It's weird. And it's like difficult to explain how it works, but it does work. I really enjoyed watching the movie. It was a really imaginative take on both genres, dinosaurs and westerns, which you don't see very often anymore anyway. If you don't believe me on this point, just look up the cast and you'll see that Sam Elliott plays Butch, who is one of the T-Rex cowboys in this film. And his characterization is better than most characters you see in other movies because this is a Pixar movie and it's Sam Elliott and he's a cowboy, so it's awesome. Speaking of awesome, probably the greatest part of this movie, the most enjoyable part of this movie for anybody who's watching it, like even if you don't like westerns or whatever, you're going to love the scenery of this film. It is gorgeous. Absolutely breathtaking how good the scenery and the clouds and the sky and the weather effects and the water and the leaves and the light shining through the leaves because the leaves are kind of translucent and really organic looking. It's amazing. One of the opening shots of the movie is of this river that goes by Arlo's family's farmstead, and I thought it was actual water that they had shot. Like they had gone out to a river and recorded the river and then panned up and then like put other stuff in the scene. That's how good it looks. It's photorealistic animation and it's breathtaking just how good it looks. I can't describe how, it's amazing. Now this brings me to one of the things I actually didn't love about the movie, and that's the design of Arlo himself. I've spent the last few seconds raving about how good the scenery looks and how realistic it looks. Arlo, on the other hand, is cartoonish and stylized, whereas the rest of the scenery is photorealistic. So he stands out, which you kind of want, except there's so few characters in this movie, you don't need him to stand out from the background. It's not like it's to separate him and distinguish him from everything else going on in the movie, because there isn't really that much going on in the movie. Like, there's a lot to look at just because it's so pretty, but there's very few characters on screen at any given time. Like, 6 tops. That's not to say he doesn't look good, because the technical qualities of the animation are still excellent. Like, his scales look awesome, he moves really well, he's really expressive, so on those sides he's fine, but he still seems out of place because of how different he looks from the rest of the scenery. It would be like seeing a character from The Incredibles, something really stylized and not realistic at all, set in the world of Ratatouille, which very much looks like real-life Paris. Since this is a Pixar movie, you expect the emotions to be very good, and you will not be disappointed with this movie either. A comparison to Inside Out is almost inevitably going to be drawn because they came out in the same year, and while Inside Out is more emotional, which you should expect because it's about emotions, this film also has good emotional qualities and a good message. Nothing terribly groundbreaking, it's about the importance of family and the importance of friends and that kind of stuff, but it's still really good and really wholesome and really sincere, and I really liked that the emotional climax of the movie is silent. No lines of dialogue whatsoever. You don't need it. It's pure, acting from animation, and I really liked that part of the movie too. Unlike Inside Out, I didn't weep openly during this movie 3 times, but it still got me choked up on a couple of occasions, some more than others, but that's to be expected. And it's just good. That's not to say it's not funny though, because it is really funny. Probably the funniest character is the pet collector guy, and he was great. I was laughing really hard for that. As far as downsides go, this movie does get off to a slow start, and I mean that more in a way that I was waiting for something to happen. It's not that nothing happens at the beginning of the film, because everything that happens at the beginning of the movie is to drive the character forward, and so that you learn about these characters before things happen to them, but I was still waiting for things to develop more quickly, so it took a little while for things to get going. Also, since so much of the film is set early on at the dinosaur's farmstead, it took a while for me to realize that the setting was in fact a western, like I thought it might be, but it's just a farm. It could be not a western, it could be just an isolated farm. So the setting doesn't really kick in until about a third of the way through the movie, maybe even later. And as you might expect from a movie that is so experimental in its thought process, what would happen if the dinosaurs never died? It makes me wonder what would actually have happened if the dinosaurs never died. There's a lot of scientific questions that I would then raise and issues I would point out when talking to the directors, like I know why they did what they did, but it still makes me wonder, like the velociraptors have feathers, that's points for science, but on the other hand, how did apatosauruses learn how to domesticate chickens and farm? That makes me wonder. If you are a child or if you are bringing a child to this movie, you're probably not going to have any questions about this, but it made me wonder, so it was weird. I'm still thinking about it, mulling it over. So, what's my final verdict? Well, I'm gonna have to give Pixar's The Good Dinosaur 4.5 stars out of 5. I really enjoyed this movie. It's a really solid film. I really enjoyed the imaginative dinosaur western setting. The scenery is absolutely breathtaking and reason enough alone to recommend this film. And the emotions are all right there, right where I want them to be, and they're really good. On the downside, I don't love Arlo's design because he sticks out so separate from the rest of his surroundings. The movie does get off to a bit of a slow start in terms of action and things happening. Character-wise, it's fine, but I was still waiting for things to happen at the beginning of the movie. And then the movie does raise some scientific questions. I recognize that it's not their place to answer those questions, and it's just me being weird, but it was a little bit distracting for my movie-going experience. Okay, I think that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you thought of The Good Dinosaur down below in the comments. Am I right on the money? Am I way off base? Let me know. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, favorite, share, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. I will see you guys next time, which might very well be my review of Star Wars The Force Awakens, since it comes out in exactly 2 weeks. My heart rate accelerated about 100% just by saying that sentence. See you guys next time. Bye!